Hi, everybody. How are you? So if you have your cameras on, go ahead and turn them on so I can see you, because this is helpful to me, because I want to know, by show of hands, how many of you are familiar with fondant or have ever worked with fondant. If you have your video stopped, can you start the video and also unmute your audio? Unless you have a barking dog or a service repairman in the house or whatever. So this is interactive. I do like participation. So if I can see a show of hands, how many of you have been in a class before? All right, and I see one hand up, but I don't see a name. Oh, I see Sharon, but I see one hand up that I don't see a name for.
Kathy?
Kathy.
Yes.
Kathy. And then I see Sharon, and I see a couple other people, and I see someone driving. Are you driving? Oh my gosh. That's scary. Anyway, so only 2 people have taken a class with me before. Oh, okay, I see a third. And what was your name? That just raise your hand.
Courtney.
Courtney. Okay, so Sharon, Courtney, and what was your name?
Kathy.
Okay, so the rest of you are all brand new to taking classes with me, is that right? Well, welcome. I'm so glad to see more newbies. I am so excited to have you all here today. So how many of you like making cookies? Especially around the holidays, right? It's the thing to get you into the spirit of Christmas or whatever you celebrate. And so how many of you have ever worked with fondant before? Okay, we have one. What is your name? You're muted, I think. You have to unmute.
Mute right there. Esther.
Esther. Hi, Esther. All right. So sometimes the screens have your name on it. I don't know but anyways, if you want to talk, can you just say your name so I can get familiar with your, put names with faces, because I know a few of you, but not all of you. So anyways, I'm Cindy. I'm a retired Lieutenant Colonel, 27 years in the Air Force. And like Ashley was saying, I traveled a lot in that time. And when I retired, I used my GI Bill to go to culinary school. And I wasn't sure, because we get, after 2 years of culinary school with a foundation in French cuisine, and then studying world cuisine and baking and pastry, wine, all kinds of things, I wasn't really sure exactly where I wanted to take my culinary skill sets. So having developed training systems for different career fields like space, cyber, things like that in the Air Force. I worked a lot in training development, as well as I was a public information officer at the Cape. I'm in Florida right now, right next to Cape Canaveral, where I used to work, and worked all the shuttle launches and rocket launches. You probably know the Dragon launch. You've heard of the Dragon crew and all that. So I used to work with Elon Musk and his group. And anyway, so I developed a lot of public relations and education and training skill sets in the Air Force, which I parlayed into my business, which is cindyscouturekitchen.com, as you can see on this intro page. And how many of you went to the website or know anything about my website? Anybody? Nadie. Okay. Well, I highly encourage you to go check it out, because first of all, it's got a lot of great inspiration there for from past students, participants who have taken this workshop and class. And so when you're going forth to conquer the cookie decorating world on your own, you can just go to my website and take a look at the review tab, as well as the cookies and cakes tabs. And you'll see a whole lot of examples on ideas that you can replicate. So I started making cookies with my mom when I was really young, but of course they are nothing like the couture brand that I make today. But that's kind of where the joy of it all came in, is, you know, when you think about your family and the fun times you shared and around the holidays, especially, that is a happy memory for me that I wanted to do in my work world. So that's kind of how I started this business, is because my mom and I were cookie decorating together, and it was a lot of fun. And she's kind of an artsy person, and I guess I got it from her. And I went to a Christian Dior art exhibit in Denver, and I saw all those couture collections, the fashions that he designed. They're so one of a kind and beautiful. They're just amazing. All different colors, all different textures, patterns, just incredible. And I was like, wow, my cookies are kind of like one of a kind works of art too. So that's where the name couture came in, Cindy's Couture Kitchen, because like I figured, well, my cookies are kind of one of a kind art pieces as well. So that's kind of how I got the start with the cookies. And then it evolved into Cindy's Couture Kitchen doing classes as well. So as far as today's party plan, what are we going to do? Again, how many have worked with fondant? Just one? Esther, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what did you do with fondant?
I've made cakes
Okay.
with fondant.
Have you ever done cookies?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say for beginners, it's so much easier to work with a smaller piece of fondant. And we're going to talk about what it is, and so that you understand how flexible it is and adaptable it is. And then we're going to take a look at some of the equipment that you can use and purchase if you find that this is really,
Here you go, babe.
that makes you excited to pursue. And this is a 101 class. So Esther, you probably know a lot of these techniques because they're pretty basic to working with fondant.
Okay.
But you can see with these cookies here, you can do a lot of really fun and creative things with fondant. And we're going to talk about some of the techniques as well that you will use to create artwork and delicious edible artwork that you can give to your friends, and they will think you're a really nice person because it's so cute they won't want to eat it. What they told me anyway. I'm like, you gotta eat it. Don't let it like sit around for a year. Any questions on our roadmap party plan before we get started here?
Mm-mm.
All right. So what is fondant? Anybody want to take a shot at that?
Marshmallow base.
Okay, it can be, yeah. It can be made with marshmallows, but it's an edible icing, basically, that is it has a dough-like consistency. How many of you liked playing with Play-Doh when you were a kid, or even as an adult?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I did. I loved it. And so you can think of fondant as edible Play-Doh. That's how I think it's perfect definition. And you've probably seen it on elaborately decorated cakes, like wedding cakes or special theme cakes, or even character cakes. Like, what kind of cakes do you use it on, Esther?
Birthday cakes, or if I'm really trying to do some detail that's pretty refined, that's when I would use it.
Like what kind of detail work are you talking about?
Let's see. Like to make flowers. I've made some with flowers and gum paste. I've mixed both of them together to get a harder dough, and it'll cure like in an hour or whatever. But I've done a lot of flowers.
Wonderful. Super. Do you have any to show and tell?
No.
Because you can store them, you know.
Yes, yes.
But
I don't
anyway,
know if there would be edible after so many years, so I did throw them away. But I had taken a few classes on how to make some penny flowers and stargazers and roses and.
very, very cool. Very.
Mhm.
So you can see by what we're talking about that fondant is super versatile, and you can mold it and make characters out of it and make various shapes with it, which we're going to do today. So again, it's a edible icing, and it's made from glucose and powdered sugar or marshmallows. And this class, we're gonna, probably most of you bought it. How many of you are gonna make these cookies along with me? Anybody?
Maybe.
Good. I see a few hands going up. Yay. Way to the pool. I'm so happy. So the question is, do you make it or do you buy it? So there's advantages and disadvantages of both. So if you want to make it, what are some advantages? What do you think are some advantages of making it yourself?
Make it sweeter or enhance the flavors, or can you do that?
Do you put like vanilla in yours, or do you just use marshmallow?
I actually just buy it.
No shame in buying it. No shame in buying it at all. There's different kinds, and I'm going to show you some. So this is a brand that I got at the America's Cake Fair. Can you all?
Yes.
This is called Satin Ice, and this is vanilla. As you can see, it's white
Mm-hmm.
vanilla. And I also have chocolate, which is brown, and there's also black. So if you want to like cover a lot of cakes and you're like a professional baker, I would say buying it in bulk is easier than making it, because first of all, you can buy it in bulk. This is a lot of fondant. It's going to cover a lot of cakes, and it's going to save you a ton of time to buy it. Now, if you make it, some people think that it tastes better, and certain brands do taste better than others, I think. And this is a really good one. Like I said, it's from the America's Cake Fair, but you can find this in cake stores or online.
You know, I've actually seen it at Walmart.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they have different brands. This is another one that I got at a cake supply store, which I think tastes really good. And I heard Walmart has this fondant that's like a pie, already made, rolled out sheet of fondant, like the ready-made pie crusts.
Wow.
They told me in a class yesterday that they bought that kind of fondant, and it's like, I have never seen that. But there's all kinds that you can buy. This is from Michael's, or Hobby Lobby carries it too. And it comes in these little containers like this. And one thing I would advise you is to make sure that you check the expiration date, because this is about ready to expire, and they'll sell it to you and it could be hard already. So when you get a packet, like there's packets that are half the size of this at Hobby Lobby and Michael's and maybe Walmart, depending. Like a lot of people said, I can't find anything at Walmart, but you know, it just depends on the day you go, I suppose, and which Walmart you go to. But make sure it's soft when you buy it because you don't want to buy something that's hard. However, saying that, in terms of storing it, say you open that package, how do you store it to make sure that your product's still good in a couple months? How long do you keep yours, Esther?
I have it in an airtight container, but another way to soften it up is by just massaging some shortening on it.
You're right. This stuff comes in handy.
Yes.
So you're gonna laugh at me maybe, but this is how I do it. You see it's vacuum sealed.
Oh, good.
But do you see this little package of yellow? That's how it comes. There's all kinds of brands. And like I said, Hobby Lobby and Michael's, you can download their app and you can get 50% off sometimes if it's not on sale already. You can use the coupons for those apps. And that's what I do. I'm always, when I go out, I'm usually going by a Hobby Lobby or Michael's. And if I need, well, over time, I have used those coupons when I'm nearby and just collected the things that I need, like the equipment, which we'll talk about next. But so making it
Can I
takes a
ask a
lot more
question?
time.
Once you've put it in the Ziploc bag, do you put it in the freezer or is it shelf stable?
No, you store it at room temperature. Never put it in the refrigerator. And that is because of condensation, which can ruin it. So, sometimes there's condensation that collects on, like if you're using it to cover your cookies, you want to just keep those at room temperature. And when a cookie is covered with fondant, it's going to stay fresher longer and your cookies will be good. How many of you made the recipe that I gave you?
Oh, for the cookie?
Mhm.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. What do you think?
My husband liked it.
And you don't spread. So
Yeah,
they-
yeah.
okay. So you can add, I add a bit of vanilla and a bit of almond so that the flavor is really good. So once they're covered, they will stay fresh for like 2 weeks, covered in a container at room temperature. You never want to freeze it. You never want to put it in the refrigerator. So you want to store it in a airtight container. So when you take some out of the package and you're going to use it, say you take a hunk of it out of this container here, you want to wrap it like I have here in saran wrap. Keep it airtight when you're not using it. Okay. So we're going to talk about coloring it in a bit. So that was white. And if you buy it, I would suggest buying either white, which you can, or see the primary colors, which are what?
I'm in class.
Anybody know what the primary colors are?
Yes, red, green, yellow. I mean, red, blue, yellow.
Yeah, yes. Good catch. So yes. So if you buy those 3 colors, you can make what other colors with those?
Orange, purple, green.
Very good. Just remember your art classes, right? You're going to be using that if you want to make more colors and save yourself some money. So just buy those small little ones if you're starting out. And then you can, in the primary colors, you can make 3 more colors, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you just want to buy vanilla, I'll show you how to color it in a minute. So let's talk about any questions on that, making it or buying it.
I did, Cindy. I bought these little packs. It's the Satin Ice. I got at Michael's, the 4, like in different colors. Was that what you were talking about? Can you see?
Let me just see. Is that Sharon? Okay, let me pin you. Let me pin you so I can see.
And I bought it in the colors that you had on the list. There's like a red, green, already colored.
Yeah.
Is that the right? Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. So that's perfect size. That's exactly the ones I was thinking about.
Okay. Yeah, I like this satin ice too, because if anybody, I have a son that has a nut allergy. So the nice thing is these are like, you know, nut-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, this brand. Which I noticed like the Wilton was not, but yeah, I got it at Michael's. They're like three something each, but okay. So that's,
And you can use, like I said, a coupon and get those. Usually they're not on sale. So you can use your 40% off coupon and get it, you know, at least you get $1.50 off or something like that. But anyway, that's kind of how I would advise you guys to start out. And then you can just decide if you like the taste, because there's a lot of different brands and you have to, you know, try them and see if you like them. So thanks for showing us that, Sharon. Any other questions before we talk about equipment, tools, etc.? Okay, let's talk about some things that you probably have around the house and also some others that you might pick up. Hopefully, everybody has a nonstick rolling pin, and this one is a silicone rolling pin, which I got it at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, I can't remember, but Walmart I think has it too. And these have guides. These little rings are guides that help you make sure that the width of the fondant is the right thickness when you roll it out. So it's only like 8 inches, but this is exactly the size that makes it easy to work with smaller pieces for cookies and other decorations. So highly recommend one of these, as well as this is something you could invest in. It's a Fondant Smoother. They come in the round and the square. And when you're making cakes or smoothing out your cookies, these come in handy, but you can use the palm of your hand. That's fine too. This is a quilting tool. And you see it has a little wheel on each end, and they're different measurements apart from each other. And I use this, if you go on my website under the reviews tab, you're gonna, and the cakes tab, you're gonna see some of the cakes I've made, and one of them looks like a suitcase, or a couple of them. And it looks like a leather suitcase. And I actually made it look like it was hand sewn with this quilting tool. So those are kind of a fun thing to have. And a veiner tool looks like this. You can see it's got a very narrow tip, and you don't have to have one of these, but this is what is used to make the veins on leaves and just make indentions and other decorations. And then on the other side, it has a little tiny ball, which we're going to use as well. And then gel food colors come in really handy. This is Wilton. I only use gel, and I only recommend that you use gel versus liquid, because again, liquid food colors can change the consistency of the fondant, plus they're not as rich. And as you can see, this comes in a variety of colors. So that's a Wilton brand, but there's others as well. Chef Master, etc. And then if you are going to color your fondant, say you buy a thing of white, you're gonna wanna invest in some of these or some Crisco.
Mm.
You don't want a henna tattoo of green hands playing the Grinch or something. So then this comes in handy to make sure your work surface doesn't get stained as well. Edible pens are a lot of fun, and we're going to use those today. These are markers that are edible, and you can buy them in black, or you can buy them in a variety of colors. As you can see here, there's a lot of colors, and this is just one set. There's other colors that come in other sets. So edible markers make your life easier. as well as glue. You're gonna need some sort of glue to adhere the fondant to the cookie. This is from a cake decorating store, piping gel, but you don't have to have that. You can use corn syrup, like the light colored Caro corn syrup, or you can use jam that has all the seeds and the berries removed from it. And you can use that. You have to make sure it's smooth though, because fondant is gonna cover it and show any bumps or irregularities in the surface of what it's covering. And then another thing that I highly recommend that you don't have to buy it, but it makes doing the job way easier. So these are tools that make your life easier. This is a cornstarch powder. And we're gonna dust our work surface just like you use flour, but you never use flour when you're working with fondant. What else can you use besides cornstarch?
Powdered sugar.
Powdered sugar.
Good. Excellent. So it depends, fondant depends a lot on the climate that you're in. In San Antonio, you know, it's a little bit humid. Florida, where I'm at right now, is, you know, about like San Antonio's been cool, same temperature basically. But Colorado is super dry. So I might be able to use powdered sugar in Colorado, but I couldn't here because it would be so sticky. Because I stick with cornstarch because it doesn't cause the fondant to become sticky. So depends on the climate. Now, some other things that you have probably around the house that come in really handy in lieu of these other tools are toothpicks. And I have this skewer and of course this toothpick, which is flat. You know, it's got a flat surface and a narrow one. And you can do decorations with these, as well as I have the round one, you know, the short round one. So I'm sure you have those lying around your house and can use that if you don't have some of these other tools. So if you're really thinking this is like something that you have waited a long time for, this opportunity to get with someone who's professional cookier and learn some of these tips and tricks, and you find that you want to learn more and do more, you can invest in some of these little things. These are plunger cutters. Yeah, they're different shapes. And this is a star, circle, and holly leaf. And what you do with these things is it's got a plunger that comes down, and you use this to cut out and imprint your fondant at the same time in a second. So easy and so fast. And then another thing we're going to be talking about is silicone molds, and I'm going to show you how to use these. There's all kinds. This is a Martha Stewart. And I think I got it at Walmart. I can't remember, but this is what we're going to use for the snowman that we're going to make. And I'll show you. But there's a lot of different ones. We're also going to be using embossing stamps and mats, actually mats. Can anybody tell me what this is reminiscent of?
A sweater?
Yes. It's like a knit pattern. Okay, so everybody got the equipment list that I sent out, right? Or that Ashley sent out, right?
Mhm.
So if you read the actual document, you can see that there's links, hyperlinks to the equipment. If you wanted to click on those, you can go directly to the source of where you can order these things from, okay? Also, you might want to use or have handy some of these, and this is specifically for food. They're little fingernail clippers, which curl a little bit. They have a slight arc, and we're going to use those. I'll show you how. And another thing that comes in handy is a pair of tweezers, because when you're placing things like nonpareils, you might want to put them exactly in a certain position, and tweezers are handy to do that. In addition, when you're handling your fondant, rolling it out, you don't want to lift it with your fingers if, you know, a small piece, because you could tear it or put fingerprints in it. So something like this, a knife or a palette knife like this, it's offset. It's like a little offset knife. And that helps you lift the fondant and put it onto the cookie without messing it up. And then a variety of paint brushes. You're going to need that for adhering the fondant to the cookie with the edible glue or jam. And sanding sugar, we're going to use that, as well as some of these nonpareils. This is what I'm talking about, nonpareils. See that? See all the different sizes?
Mhm.
You know, tweezers come in handy when you want to put those just in a particular location and not have them roll off the cookie. And they come in so many varieties. And this is a company that is really fun. If you, they have different mixes, and Walmart and Target actually aren't bad, but this is a company called Sprinkle Pop. So it's sprinklepop.shop. So www.sprinklepop.shop or .com. You can check those, the varieties they have, because they're a lot of fun. So those are some of the supplies, along with something else. So you got to be really careful you don't hurt those, does the job, or a knife, you know? So basically, those are some of the tools. Any questions on any of that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so let's talk about next some of the techniques. So I'm going to show you first how to roll it and cut out the fondant, starting with white. And then I'm going to color it and show you how to do that. There's another technique that you're going to learn today called marbling. We're going to go over that. Have you ever marbled, Esther?
No,
Do you know how to do it?
I don't know how to do that.
Okay. You've probably seen cakes that have that marbled look, though. But we're gonna
Yes.
do it for cookies. And we're also going to be using those silicone molds that I showed you, and the embossing and texturing techniques as well. Okay. So any questions on those techniques before we dive in and get started making cookies and decorating them? Not making them because they're already made. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, so who are my people that are making these with me? Because I want to see your artwork as we go along. If you have any questions along the way here, feel free to ask. So here we go. Ready? Everybody ready?
Yep.
Ready.
Now, take a look at some of these examples. See the snowman there? With a little so you see the hat has a pom-pom and it looks knitted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That is our objective. That's what we're going. Okay. But you see the other ones.
Okay.
If you look at those are on the website that
Right.
indiescouturekitchen.com. You're going to see some other examples as well. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to stop the share and pin my video so you can see what I'm doing. But take again, before I do that, take a look at the snowman, take a look at his hat. And you can create all of that with a toothpick. and scissors. Okay, so those are things you probably have around your house. All right, so, okay, can everybody see me? Yep, I'm hitting my screen.
Mhm.
Okay, so move that. I want to make sure, first of all, my work surface is clean, because fondant, especially white fondant, is going to pick up every little crumb of stuff that you have on your work surface. Like if you have a different color, it's going to pick it up. So one trick that you can do when you're working with this is to take a little bit of a pinch out of it and just go over your work surface with it and clean it up. Make sure that the white fondant, that's why wedding cakes are super expensive, because white picks up everything and it's super, challenging. You have to, it's a practice, like yoga. Working with fondant is a practice. You get better and better as you go along. But if you're just starting out, that is probably one of the hardest things, is to have a beautiful, flawless, even piece of fondant and put it on a large surface like a cake. Okay, so I'm just going to put that little guy right there, and I'm going to use my cornstarch pouch to dust my work surface just like you would flour. And then I'm going to roll out some of my fondant. Now I'm going to be making snowman, so I only take what I think I'm going to need, and then I put the rest back in cellophane or saran wrap, cling wrap, to keep it from getting any oxidization. So that's going to help keep your fondant soft and pliable. So the first thing you want to do is knead your fondant before you start to roll it, or it's not going to roll evenly, or it could, have these little crusty bits in it. You just want to make sure by kneading it that you don't feel any crusty little particles in there. And by kneading it, you're also going to be warming it up with your hands. Okay, so you also want to make sure that your rolling pin is dusted with the cornstarch so it doesn't stick, just like flour. And then you want to roll it out. And I've got these guides, so I'm rolling it to about like a 1/16 of an inch thick. Okay, so what I'm going to make first is the snowman's face. And you can see it's sticking a little bit, so I'm going to just put it over here where there's more cornstarch, just like you would with a pie crust. Okay, and if it keeps sticking like that, just dust it some more with some cornstarch. That's why I'm using a small piece, because the more cornstarch you put on this, it's going to dry it out. Okay, and that's why you only want to take off what you're going to work with, as little as possible. So here's my cookie. That's my canvas. And I'm going to use the same shape that I cut the cookie out with to cut out the fondant to fit on it. Okay, so I want his face to be covered, or her face, depending on if you're going to make a man or woman. And so I'm just going to roll this up and set it aside for now. And I'll put it in a little bit of saran wrap. Okay, so I've got this here, and I'm going to lift it with my palette knife, make sure it's dusted. And I'm going to see if it fits on the cookie where I want it to. Okay, so it looks good. It's really versatile, and it stretches to fit like, so if I do this or I smooth it with my hands, it's going to go to the side. So I'd say that's good. So what I want to do next is just use my edible glue, my piping gel or your corn syrup or jam. And I want to use some of the piping gel as glue and paint it on my cookie so that the fondant's going to stick to it. All right. So you all keeping up with me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Making this yourself with me?
Is there a taste to that piping gel?
A what?
Does that piping gel taste like anything or?
No, it really doesn't. It's lighter than corn syrup, which is, sugar. So it really doesn't taste like corn syrup or anything like that. Okay, so I got this covered in a thin coat of piping gel. You don't want too much because again, you don't want the fondant showing any lumps or build up of piping gel. So I'm going to put this on the cookie. Being careful to place it on there. And then I'm going to smooth it out with my palms. And you can see it's stretching as I do that, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so I've got the face done, and then you just smooth it with your fingers to go around the cookie and form the face. All right, so I don't need this part because I'm going to make the hat, right? So I can get rid of that. And I'm just going to use this tool to get rid of it, the top portion, and kind of make a little arc for the hat. So this part can be set aside too. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. And then I'm going to show you how I'm going to set this aside because I don't have any blue. And I'm going to make a blue hat like the one that was in that picture. So I have my blue food coloring gel. And I'm going to just take a toothpick and get some of that on my, I'm going to use a little bit of this along with the stuff that I just cut out. And the rest back. And then I'm going to add it to this. That should be enough for his hat. I'm going to need that. And then I'm going to put these gloves on because I don't want blue hands. And they come in a box. And you can get these again at online or at restaurant supply stores. And they come in different sizes too. Okay, so you need blue. Not a whole lot, probably. I'm just gonna take a little bit at first because you can always add more. This is royal blue. And ooh, came over, so I'm just gonna take this blue. And then I'm gonna add it to my white and start kneading it together. With the gloves. And you can see how messy it gets, right? Pretty messy. So this is going to be a royal blue color. If I want it to be lighter, then I'd add more white. So you just keep kneading it and you can see it's getting really nice and blue. And I do think I might want a little more white. So I'm going to just pinch off the top. So you can see it's kind of turning a lighter blue now. Y'all can see that, right? Yeah, it's going from really dark
Mhm.
to light blue. Now, if you wanted to marble, this is basically marbling because you've got two different shades and they're mixed together, and you basically twist the colors. Like if you wanted to make a red, marbled red and white,
Oh,
like a candy cane.
nice.
So you'd roll that out and then cut your shape out from that. Like, do you want me to keep kneading or do you want to see that?
Oh, that's cute.
I like that.
I like that.
Roll
Very
this out
cute.
and see what it looks like. Let's roll this out. Okay. All right, so I can put my bowl away, take my gloves off, and make sure that this is dusted with cornstarch because maybe it's not quite worked in there all the way. So looks tie-dye, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I've got this dusted and now I'm gonna roll it out for his hat. But I want the hat textured, and you can turn it over and see which side you like better. I like this side better.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we'll use this one. And so I'm gonna get my embossing mat and I'm gonna dust that with cornstarch so that this doesn't stick to it. And I'm gonna put this down with the pattern facing the way I want it. And I'm just gonna roll this a little bit further to the sides. And then with my fingers, I'm gonna make sure that this piece of fondant stays in place while I push it down, making sure that it doesn't move so that I can emboss that knit pattern onto this piece of fondant. And if it starts sticking to your fingers, you just want to add some cornstarch and keep pressing it down. And then when you're pretty sure that you've done a good job of imprinting this little piece of fondant into this mat, then you lift it off and it looks like magic. Like I knit this piece of fondant.
Aww. Cute.
Isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
Precious.
That's a very cool effect. And there's different embossing mats that you can find at Michael's and Hobby Lobby, Walmart. And this is another example. You just roll the fondant out on this and press it in and you get a beautiful snowflake pattern. But going back to our little guy, our snowman, I'm gonna need to cut out the hat now. So I'm gonna put this over what I just embossed. And then I'm gonna measure where I think that's gonna go. So I don't need all that, right? I'm gonna basically cut it off right there. So I'm kind of just estimating. And it doesn't really matter at this point because you're gonna put a band on in between the white and this blue knit because he has a band, right, for the hat.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the hat. And now I need to adhere it with some edible glue. So cover the cookie with that and then just put the fondant on it. Okay, so there's that piece. And then you just use your fingers to push it into place. Okay, so now this part, you can see there's a line there, but that's going to get covered up by the band. Okay,
Right.
so don't worry about that. All right, so now to make the band, I'm going to use more white fondant and make it lighter just a little bit than what we had. And so I'm not going to throw the scraps away. I'm just going to knead those into this piece. Okay. And then I'm going to show you a different technique to make the band, which is what was in the picture. Okay, so making sure that my fondant doesn't stick, I'm just going to make sure that I've got some cornstarch on the rolling pin and the surface. And then roll it out again. And that looks pretty cool, right? You like that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So now I just need the band, right? And that's going to go like that. So I like this side better, so I think I'll use that, and I'll just kind of eyeball a little arc. And again, you can stretch this or make it longer or shorter. So it's pretty versatile to shape. I think that's going to work. And if it is too short, I can always pull it and gently pull it and make it a little longer. But that looks pretty good. So I just need to cut the ends off. Okay, so that's the band.
Cute.
Now I have to tack that in place with some edible glue. Okay, so that is done. And now I'm going to use my embroidery tool to make the little pattern in the hat band. And I'm going to use the wider part. Actually, I probably could have done it off of the cookie easier, but no worries. You can still do it. With it on the cookie. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Cute.
Okay, so that's done. There's the hat, except, don't we need a pom-pom?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me show you how to use these silicone mats. And I've got our molds, rather, not mats, but they're molds, silicone molds. I'm going to clean this up first, get all those glue particles off the work surface. And put this aside. I'm going to put this with white. I'll show you how to marble in a second. It's these two pieces. Okay. So, also handy to have a wet paper towel so you can get any excess food filler. Just from working with that, I got food filler on my fingers. So you don't want that on, say you're using white fondant. So you have to be really careful. All right, so I am going to put on a glove just because I don't want my white pom-pom getting through on it. And I'm just gonna take a teeny weeny little piece of white. And what you want to do is, I'm going to use this one right here, and I'm going to dust it with cornstarch. And then once it's pretty well dusted, I'm going to turn it over and smack it on the work surface to remove the excess. Okay. So my mold is ready now. All I have to do is pinch off an equivalent amount that I think is going to fill that little space. So that's probably about right. And the excess, you just, very blue. I don't know why, but anyway, I'm gonna put that back in the blue. So like I said, it can be very tricky working with the colors, and it's so much easier to buy it colored, right? So much cleaner. That might be something to take with you. And then you just push it into the mold, push it into the center from the sides, and then once it's filled, and if there's any excess, you just scrape it off with a knife. And then this one's flush, so it's fine. And then you wiggle it around so that all the sides are loose, and then you just flip it over and it should fall right out. And there's the pom-pom. So we're going to put that on the hat next. And to do that, I need some glue. I'm just going to grab some right there. And I'm going to put that in. Yeah. So there it is.
Aw,
Adorable.
yeah.
So cute.
All right. So next, what do we need? Eyeballs, right?
A little bit
Yes.
of some face.
This chocolate satin ice right here, and this dark chocolate, and I'm just gonna pinch off a teeny weeny bit for his eyes, and you can use it for his mouth too, because snowmen have mouths made, eyes and mouths made of coal, right? Isn't that right? Anybody make snowmen, or are you all from San Antonio?
We're from San Antonio my
Yeah.
whole life.
Yeah. Well, maybe you never did make a snowman.
We did. We had a,
Frosty, right?
back in 1983, I think we had a huge snow.
Really? And you guys
Yeah.
act enough to make a snowman or woman, snow person?
We did.
Very cool. So you don't need a lot of this. Just, 2 little balls, and you can do that with your fingers. Just roll them out. And make sure as close as possible that they're the same size, which this one's just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to take some off of that. And now I'd say it's still a little bit bigger. I'm going to put some back. And roll it around again. And now it's perfection.
Very
Awesome.
cute.
They look even, don't they?
Oh, sure.
All right, so I'm going to just set those there while I take my little tiny bowl tool that has a veiner on the other side. I'm going to make 2 little indentations, like eye sockets, right? And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue, piping gel, on each of these and put them in place.
To be careful to make sure that the cornstarch does not get on anything chocolate.
Well, what you're going to do if it does is just add a little bit of steam, like hold it under the steam of a faucet, and that steam gets rid of all the cornstarch. Plus, that's what If you have a makeup brush that's never been used, that's perfect, but a variety of brushes really help, and you can use that to get the cornstarch off your fondant. But steam is what totally makes it disappear. So if you have a steamer at home, you know, for fabric garments, then you would be amazed at how your creations look, because they actually come out shiny, you know?
Oh,
Oh, that's so
That's
cute.
beautiful.
So that's kind of the idea, right?
yes.
But now we need to, I'm gonna show you how I make the mouth and the nose. Because he needs a nose, and what are they made out of usually?
Carrots.
So what can I do to make orange if I don't have
Red
orange?
and yellow.
Perfect. You are on the money. But I happen to have orange.
Awesome.
Because I went to Hobby Lobby when I had a coupon and they weren't on sale, and I bought one of these little babies. So that's what I'm going to use. And I use this painter's tape also to seal it tightly
Ah,
for it, because it comes up easy. And I'm just going to pinch a little bit off in here with the carrot. So that looks about right. See, it's
mm-hmm.
really pretty tiny piece. And then I'm going to seal the rest up and close the bag again. And the painter's tape will keep it shut. So for carrot, to sit on his face, it needs to have a flat base. So I push this end flat, and then I make a kind of a cone. And once that's done, carrots usually have like lines or striations in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to do that, you can use anything. You could use this, you could use this. This is probably a good tool. So I'm just going to go around the circumference of the carrot, make these little striations in it that kind of resemble a carrot. And some people, you know, you could go farther than that and add some brown food color or luster dust or something like that, and you know, make the shadows in it if you're really wanting to take it to another level. But you can see that's
Cute.
carrot, and now I can put that on his face with a little bit of glue. And just push that in place, and voila. There's-
Aw.
And if
Cute.
you want it to go up, make it go up.
Aw.
You can make whatever kind of nose you want. See? Silhouette.
Very cute.
Okay, so that's done. Now, to make the mouth, I'm going to take this veiner tool, and I'm just going to draw a little bit of an indentation in the fondant. Or his mouth. Okay, and I can also make cheeks, like dimples.
Mm-hmm.
So once I have that done, I can use my edible marker and finish the job. Just by filling in. Now you could also just do more of these, like the eyes, and make a mouth like that if you want. or you can just leave it without even using a marker, you know, just make the indentations. Up to you if you don't have a marker, not necessary. Okay, so there is your snowman.
Aw. Cute.
That hat looks so
Adorable.
real.
I know. Yeah, it's amazing how cakes that are using fondant, they're amazing what they can do with them. So for the next one, I'm going to basically show you how to use these plunger cutters to do something like this. See this one?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And this is kind of the idea of the blank slate. And all you do, say you want some gold ornaments. You can take a little piece of gold. Fill up the rest. And roll it out so that I can use my plunger cutters. And basically that's how you make these little decorations, is with a round plunger cutter. So I only need a little piece because that's like 8, 9 little ornaments, right? So I've got my little round plunger cutter and I want to make sure that I dust this because I want this to come off clean once I cut it. So all you do is go like this, move it around just like you would with the cookie cutters. Make sure that you can get it to pull away cleanly. And you can see there's my little ornament. So I'm going to cut a couple of these out. You just push down to pop it out.
Cool.
And voila, I have ornaments. Really fast.
Are you going to show us how to use that really fine luster type of glitter?
I'm not going to do that in this class. That's kind of like, I do have a 102 on which goes into a lot more techniques, but that's not with the library. You can just email me if you're fascinated and want to learn more. And want to,
I mean, do you use a brush?
yeah, it's like
Okay.
make, it's like
Okay.
blush, you know, like your makeup blush.
I get you.
Brush and you just kind of dab it on the cheeks. Okay, so I've got my ornaments and I just, you know, take a paintbrush and dab on a little glue and put them on. Okay, so that's the plunger cutters. Very cool.
Does the glue dry pretty quickly, like, or does it take a couple of hours?
It's going to take a little bit of time, so you want to leave it alone. Don't move them for a while. So I would leave it for like at least an hour. Okay. So there's your treat.
Cool.
And you can see that that, I mean, so basically I'm going to show you one other technique, actually 2 other techniques, using the tree. And for that, I need green. So I have a couple colors of green and I'm going to marble these. So using that same technique that I already showed you, I'm going to move these out of the way. And you can see this trunk has brown fondant. This trunk, I just use the edible marker. Okay. So, I'm going to marble this even further than what it already is. You can see it's already started, but I'm going to add a little bit of this piece, which is like a mint green. And I'm going to show you how to marble, because I just was kind of kneading with the blue, but now I'll show you with the green how to actually marble. So I want to make a rope. And again, I want to knead this a little bit because it's not warm at all. And I want to make sure there's no hard bits. And there, it's a little bit not cooperating as nicely as I'd like it to. So I'm going to just use a little bit of shortening and make it a little bit smoother, more malleable. Okay. And so it's warming up in my hands as I knead it. And as you knead it more and more, it's going to start becoming a one color kind of thing like that. So I don't want to lose all these different shades of green, but I want it to warm up. So it actually is pretty cool like that. And you can twist it, but I am going to show you, for the purpose of showing you marbling, I'm going to knead this one too. And warm it up so it becomes more pliable. If you get your fondant, you find it's hard, you just stick it in the microwave for like 5-second increments. You don't want to stick it in there for longer than 10 seconds or you're going to have a problem. You're gonna do something like a science experiment, but okay, so there you have that piece, and I'm gonna roll this into a log. And now I'm gonna roll this one into a log. And then I'm gonna put them together. And I'm gonna make kind of a candy cane shape by twisting it. So it's got like some dark green, some mint green. See that?
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah. So now I'm going to make an S, or from whatever perspective you're at, a Z or whatever. Okay. So now I made an S out of that log. Now I'm going to squish that together and roll it. So that's basically how you marble something. You see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Roll it together so
Very pretty.
it comes together smoothly. And that's basically how you get a marbled look. And so when you roll this out, which I'll show you in a second, and put it on a cake, it's going to have that marbly look. Okay, so I'm going to get my cornstarch pouch again, dust it, make sure my surface is dusted so it doesn't stick. And I'm going to actually fold it once more, and then I'm going to roll it out. If it sticks together, which I'm not sure it's going to, but I'm going to press it really hard and see if it comes together. Okay, so you see this piece, how it really looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really pretty.
Yeah. So you kind of get the idea of the effect that I'm going for with marbling. Okay, so you want to roll it again to about a 1/16 of an inch. This is pretty thick still. And I want to make sure it's thin, because I don't want a big mouthful of thick fondant. You want it pretty thin. All right, so that's good. Now I'm going to look and see, where do I want that for my Christmas tree? And again, you use the same shape of the cookie to cut out the fondant. So I'm going to place this in different locations that kind of get that cool swirly look. And that looks good. So again, I wiggle the cookie cutter so that the fondant comes free. Basically, I can pick this up and the cut piece is right there. It's going to stay. All right, so there's my Christmas tree shape. And I'm going to show you how that looks up close. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Cute.
Really cute.
Okay, so I'm just going to glue that onto the cookie. And again, that paper towel comes in really handy. So have any of you ever taken the French culture and cuisine class?
No.
Yes.
I did the crepes.
Okay, good. For who is that?
Pam did the crepes.
Pam, yay, Pam. Good. So what does mise en place mean? Sorry,
I don't remember that.
put you on the spot. Is Sharon there? Didn't you?
Yes, I took it. I know, and I'm French. I should be taking French too. I cannot. Mise en place. No, I can't remember.
Mise en place means everything in place.
Mm.
So when you're a culinary student, that's like one of the first French words you learn. Because before you get, the worst thing is to get into this and find, oh, I have to go to the closet to get out my paintbrush. Oh, I have to go to the closet to get out my, whatever tool. And, oh, I have to run over and get a paper towel and wet it and stuff like that. Mise en place means everything is set up before you start the work of making the decorations. So that you have everything within reach and it's already prepped. So basically it's prep, making sure everything's prepped. So that's what I was talking about with this little guy here, is having that handy. So you don't have to, oh, excuse me, I'll be right back. All right, so I'm gonna just press this down on the cookie, make sure that it's gonna stay in place. And again, you can use your palms of your hand to do that as well. So everything looks good, the cookie's glued on there, but I don't want this, I don't want a green trunk, I want a brown trunk. So I'm just gonna cut that off and smooth that with this tool. And then I can either cut out a trunk with the brown that I have here, or I can draw it in. So now I'm going to show you a technique that I mentioned earlier. It's called texturing. So what do you guys think I need to do texturing?
The quilting tool.
What's that?
The quilting tool.
That's a neat idea. I could kind of do a garland using the quilting tool back,
Oh,
and
that's a good idea.
that's a cool idea. You can go crazy with this, but what I was going to use to do this texturing is these little scissors. And again, they go up.
Yeah.
Before I do that though, well, no, I'm going to do the texturing first. So all you do is bring your little scissors into the fondant and snip and lift. And do that all the way down the tree. You can see some texture there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how you could make the pom-pom if you don't have a silicone mold,
What a cool idea.
or you could use a toothpick. you know, just poke holes in it. So anyways, this is like the idea of resembling pine boughs and making it look like a real tree, more 3D effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you just do that all the way down the whole tree. So you get the idea, right?
Yep.
And then once you got that done, we want to add some snow. I mean, we got it flocked kind of already with the fondant marbling, but snow sparkles in the sunlight in Colorado. So, and you know, it's Christmas. We like, right? And it's Texas. We love bling. So,
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to add some sanding sugar to our tree. And this is larger than average sugar. That's what makes it sparkle so much more, because the crystals are larger than regular table sugar. So I'm just going to lightly go over the tree with a little bit of edible glue and just dabbing it on there in various places. Not everywhere, but just strategic, you know, locations.
A
Sorry.
quick question about that edible glue. Whenever you were just using white corn syrup, do you dilute it or anything, or is it just straight?
Straight. Okay, I think that's good. Now, to do this, obviously, I don't want to do this on my surface here. I highly recommend a bowl so that it makes cleanup so much easier.
Mhm.
All right, so you just hold your tree over the bowl and sprinkle away. And then it's super easy to get it back in the bowl. And then boom, there's your beautiful, sparkly, newly fallen snow tree.
Oh, good
Adorable.
idea.
Love it.
And we need a star, don't we?
Yes, for sure.
So, you know, Lone Star State, you gotta have a star. My husband and I got married in San Antonio, actually Fayetteville.
Oh,
There's your little star. And so I'm going to take this, and get it on the right side. Flip it. Dab it with glue. Now stick it on the tree. Like so.
very nice.
All right, there you have it.
Cute.
Oh,
And I
Really
love the
cute.
crunch of those sugar crystals.
Yeah. So I'm just going to use my little edible marker and make the trunk. Getting all the crystals out of there. All right. And this does a great, fast and easy job, you know, super easy to draw in the trunk. Isn't that great?
Yes.
It's fun too. All right, so there you have it.
Very cute.
so cute.
I want to eat it.